This is a short video on adding a Mega Live imaging system to a already set up Mega 360 and the process to do that. I don't think it's going to be that difficult, but I just wanted to show how you hook this up into the Ethernet box that Hummingbird has and what's involved with installing this upgrade. My boat already has the Mega 360 installed, and that's a really great tool for fishing. It gives you great visibility around the boat with sonar. But now that Mega Live has dropped in price recently, I don't know, maybe they're going to come out with a Mega Live or who knows what, but it's dropped significantly in price. I thought it was time to add that to the system. I've seen some videos of it. I haven't tried it yet, but it looks like an amazing tool since it shows in real time fish in the direction of the sonar beam. So lucky for me, I have most of the wiring installed already for this. So this is the Hummingbird Ethernet box, and basically it's already powered since I was using 360. And I have a fuse panel already installed, so basically I have to run, and I'm not going to say basically anymore, I'm going to run the wires through the grommet here. You have to hook the wire from the Mega Live into one of your ports on the Ethernet, and then hook power up to your Mega Live, and I think that's about it for the install, really. These are all the goodies you get in the box. You have the Mega Live transducer. And coming out of the transducer, there's two cables. One cable is the power cable, and one cable is the signal cable. And then you get two sets of extension wires. One cable is the signal cable, and then the one cable is the power cable, and basically they plug into the ends of this, so it gives you a disconnect point. They also include what they call a choke device. They call it a choke device. It's a inline power filter. It's probably got some ferrite in it or something. You use that if the battery that this is hooked up to is your cranking battery. I guess they're worried that there's going to be some sort of interference either from the charging system, the alternator of the engine, or the charging system that's going to it. So in my case, I'm on a separate battery that's not connected to the cranking system, so I should be good with that. And then you got some mounting hardware and then some brackets. It looks like the most complicated thing in this install is the the bracket. Everything else is very straightforward, so we're going to go ahead with the install. All right, well, it seems the most confusing part of this is how this mount works. The first thing to do on the mount is you get the adhesive rubber that's supplied, put it in this little U-bracket. This is the bracket that's going to go underneath the shaft. Then you have to determine what side of the boat your motor's on. Okay, so mine is on the left side of the boat, so then you have to, oh Christ, there we go. You have to mount the this bracket to the transducer, and it adjusts via these two tabs here. They're indents. You just push them in, and this goes up and down to change the position. And then you have this bracket. This bracket now goes onto here, like so. It's all indented. And then this bracket goes on top of here as so, and then the other bracket fits into here, and it allows you to orient the position of the head in such a fashion as the manual states here. So you have your down view, forward view, and landscape mode, 3 modes. So I think I'm going to be using mostly mine in forward mode. I think that's the most useful. So I'm going to have it set up in that fashion, and then we'll have to start routing the wires. Okay, so mostly ready to mount. Rubber pad here. This is all torqued down. You have to make sure this washer's compressed. I have 2 more little pieces of rubber. One is going to go on the top. One is there. I guess it's for vibration isolation. Keep the little bolts on very loose. They're hard to get to, so you're going to have to pull your trolling motor down in this kind of position. It's kind of hung up on the trailer, but and then we're going to make sure that this is totally square within line with the motor head, so that it's all squared up. And we're going to torque down these bolts using an Allen key, and I think that's about it. That's in forward-facing mode. So you have to get your trolling motor deployed to get to the bolts that you have to tighten down with an Allen, and that's the way it mounts, just like that. It hasn't been torqued down yet. So, and that is in landscape mode, and you know it's in landscape mode. I don't know if you can see it, but there's little detents here. L for landscape, F for forward facing. So to switch that, you just turn this. This has like a little clicky resistance sort of thing in it, and you'd push this. This folds down. Excuse me. That's for forward facing. So you take this and put it into the forward mode. So that's now the forward mode. Okay, so that's how it switches. It's a mechanical thing. Maybe in the future they'll have something internally with different transducers, but yeah, so that now is in forward mode, and that's how it looks on your trolling motor. Now, I'm gonna have to adjust my Mega 360 possibly, or maybe I'll just lower the trolling motor because I have lots of shaft length left. But lowering the trolling motor, then I can't go as shallow, so I might pull up the 360 a little bit to maybe an inch or so. I think that's probably the best way to do it, because I don't really want to go any shallower. All right, I'll torque down, and that'll be the final position of the head. I torque pretty firm, but you don't want to break this plastic bracket here. So don't go crazy on it, but you definitely want it nice and snug. You don't want the position to move. Yeah, so some adjustments going to have to be made, but we will do that in the future. So for now, I adjusted the 360 up about maybe 2 inches. So hopefully that's going to still be in the water properly. I won't know until I get on the water. That's an easy adjustment though. And so that's how the orientation is going to be, like that. I'm not sure, it doesn't really say, but the spacing between the 360 and the head unit for the Mega Live, I'm not even sure how the 360, if it was going to see this thing on sonar, or how that even works, or it ignores it somehow. So that'll be interesting when it casts the beam out. Anyway, so that's something that's going to be tested on the water. But easy to adjust. This now, just push the indents in, and that folds down into that position like that. So now the wire routing is going to take place. One gripe already is these little markings here are so hard to see between the forward and landscape modes. I would suggest Hummingbird increase on their mold or something these indents. There should be no reason why they can't increase that so that it's more visible. I mean, I don't know how the hell anyone is going to see that when they're trying to adjust it. Anyway, small gripe. All right, one thing to keep in mind when you're routing these wires is you can't put the first wire in this slot here, because what happens is these little guards that are very tight will hit this wire. Okay, so that's first mistake. So this will have to be moved like that, basically, if you want it to go up the side like that with these in place. And you have to make sure you have enough slack here for this to turn and move. So that's key to do that. All right, on second thought, don't even route the cables up the side. It's much better just to put them on the round part here. You can get away with one very close and get full rotation of the head down, sideways, up, everything like that. and you can kind of space them out like that. Now for up here, I'm not sure exactly what to do, because this head, I mean this shaft is going to rotate with the motor, so there has to be at least 360 degrees of cable to be able to wrap around the motor when it turns. So that is something excuse me, that is something that we're gonna have to think about. But here's all the other routing here. So I'm gonna route this system here. It's gonna come down, these plugs here are gonna come down and come into a big gob with all this other gob of stuff here, and I've connected it to the side of the Ultrex here, and it's worked out pretty good with some zip ties and electrical tape and stuff like that. I guess a jacket would have been nice, but it's gonna all be in this area. That's the one's the signal and one's the power, and then it's gonna go into the grommets, and that's where the fun begins of trying to fish all this crap into through the boat again, because there's just so many, the wires are just starting to stack up so much now, so we'll see. All right, so you're gonna need at least one twist of wire around the motor like that. So what I'd recommend is putting the pedal, like twisting the motor by hand, but putting the pedal in the farthest deflection one way. Make sure you have enough wire for that direction, and then when it unspools the opposite way, you'll know you'll have enough wire. So that's basically how much wire you need in a twist for this setup. I mean, there's no other way to get around it. It's gotta move, because this whole head moves. All right, so that's the amount of twist. Basically, I mounted it on this mount right here with a zip tie, so that now when you rotate the head, it's kind of hard to hold, but you can see that there's enough material for when it rotates all the way around, like so. Okay, and then the back the other way. There we go. Could be maybe a little tight. It's probably better just to have it a little loose like that, just so that you know it's not going to get all jammed up. And then in its stow position, it's fixed. It's fixed here. This is basically the looping wrap part, and then you can use this last plastic retainer here. I have it just clipped onto this here. So I think that's the best way to do it. We'll see. So I'm going to start running the signal cable. Whenever you do that, do yourself a favor, just get some tape, electrical tape, whatever. Put it over the connector so you don't damage the pins or get gunk or dirt or anything in it. It'll save you a lot of grief. All right, so I fed the signal cable through the grommet I already had. Here's the end. It's going to plug into this end here. And then there's my hatch of Viper's nest of extraneous wires. Unfortunately, the signal wire is 20 feet long, and I only have a 3 or 4 foot run, but that's just the way it is. So now this I'm going to have to feed through under this panel into the Ethernet hub. So I'm going to try to do that. Hopefully I don't have to drill another access hole. We'll see in a minute. As usual, nothing's easy. This grommet I previously put in has like is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wires going through it, and it's at its max hole size. So I'm gonna have to put in another hole here to feed in the signal and power wire. Unfortunately, there's nothing under here. It's just aluminum to the empty part of the middle part of the boat, so there's no problem drilling into that or anything, but nothing is easy, so let's just do that. All right, step drill for the win. If you've never used a step drill, I would highly suggest getting one for rough kind of things like this. So there's the hole. To protect it against rough edges, I like to use these grommets basically, so then you have a rubber protection from any wires going through. It's just like a gland like this where the wires go through. So that's big enough to accommodate the connector. Obviously you have to have the diameter big enough for the connector to fit through easily, and I have the power wire, and if in future I need some other wire, it's big enough to have maybe one more wire through there. So we've pulled through, excuse my wife is cutting lawn out there. We've pulled through the wires through the hole I just made. There's the signal wire, and here's the power, ground, and drain wire. Now the drain wire on the 360 I used was right here. Basically that's just into the frame of the boat. I guess it's to reduce interference. My Mega 360 has been working beautifully, so I'm going to use that drain wire too. It's going to be fused to a 1 amp fuse. The max draw of the Mega Live is 0.93 amps, so maybe that's a little close. Maybe I'd have to go to a 2 amp after, but unless it pops, I'm going to stick with the 1 amp that I have here already. All right, so 3 wires, crimped on terminals. Then I'm going to heat shrink heat tubing on it for protection, color coded. And if you don't have a crimp tool like this, I'd highly recommend getting it. There's 3 colors. It's all color coordinated, so you can't even mess it up to the 3 kind of crimp terminals that exist. It gives a better crimp, positive crimp, instead of trying to use like pliers or something like that. It's worth 20 bucks to spend on a tool if you're going to do a lot of wiring. So, tip of the day. All right, these are all terminated now, very nicely, color coded, ground, drain wire, and positive power. This is the proper way to do wiring. Crimp, or I guess you could solder, and then heat shrink for safety. So, okay, there's the rough wiring. We've got the drain wire hooked to the Mega 360 drain wire. We've got the positive hooked to this positive circuit. I haven't put the fuse in yet, the 1 amp fuse. And then we've got the negative to the negative side. All right. And then we've got the Ethernet plug plugged in there. I'm going to have to route that down. Maybe I'll cable tie that together. And then affix the grommet. All right, there we go. So that's going to be the final wiring. I had to add another grommet and hole to the Ethernet box here. We've got the Mega Live connected. So with the Solix unit, you can even actually just plug the Mega Live directly into the Solix or into the Ethernet box. With the Solix unit and the Helix, I believe, it self-recognizes that the Mega Live is now, I guess, plugged into the Ethernet system, and it should be good to go. It should show up on the screen. Fuses are all done now, 1 amp fuse in there. So that's all wired. Yeah, a lot of wiring is starting to take place here once you get all this system up. So basically now what we have to do is I have to connect the 2 wires there and run it, and then put the rest of the loose wire in the empties part of the boat here with all the rest of the loose wires. It's a snake's nest in there, but that's the way it is. All right, so here's the final wiring of the Mega Live. It comes up the shaft. 3 positions are marked. Lots of excess twist in the wire so that the motor shaft can rotate 360. Comes up. It's mounted there, then mounted there, and then comes into the giant bundle of Klutschfest wires. I should really get a sheath for that, but and goes down, and then it all goes nicely into the grommets. It's actually pretty clean. And when you deploy it, no, I got a strap on there. And when you deploy it, all the wires, you have enough room and everything for the wires to take up any slack that's needed. Anyways, yeah, so pretty clean. So setting up the Mega Live head, you have to make sure that you have the right software installed, 4.04 or higher, and then basically the instructions here is just say turn the unit on, and select normal mode, review. Okay, it should just show up immediately. Obviously not in the water, but it should see it connected. Yep. Okay. Maybe it's on 2. No. Mega? What's that? No. Go home. transducers. Okay. All right, so trying to hook up the Mega Live, and the first wrinkle. My software is at 4.02. And according to this little important notice here from Humminbird, I need to have at least 4.04. So my head unit is not recognizing that the Mega Live is installed. So now you have to upgrade the software. So you can do that two ways. You can go on to hummingbird.com and download it onto an SD card, or you can use the app formerly called FishSmart. So this manual is wrong. It's not called FishSmart anymore. It's called the One Boat by Johnson. If you're looking for it on Google Play or whatever for Android. So it's not called FishSmart anymore. They stopped that in 2022. So anyways, you can do it via two ways. So what do we have here? We have Mega Live Imaging Transducer number 2. The transducer that I got from the factory that I installed in the video was defective. I took it back to the place I bought it, Radio World in Toronto. Excellent service, by the way, really good. They stand by their product. They tested it. They couldn't get it to be recognized on their Solix units that they had in the store as well. So it was just a defective unit from the factory. So now I'm going to install the new one again. Should go vastly quicker since I already installed one already. And I'll go through the recognition procedure of how this should recognize once you hook it up. All right, so before I fire this new transducer, Mega Live transducer up, I just got the power loosely hooked up, verified it's 12 volts. I've got the signal wire just hooked in, not going through the boat. So all the connections should be good. There should be no reason why this thing shouldn't fire up now. All right, so I sparked the machine up, and lo and behold, the Mega Live symbol is now there. So obviously this transducer is working. You can go into your settings. This is for a Solix, but the same kind of thing for Helix units. You can go to your network, and then you go to network info, Mega Live. Now you see the Ethernet showing up. Sonar Mega Live is showing up. Okay, so you know it's there. And you can go to system info, and now it shows everything. Okay, so this was where you'll see if it's connected, right? Mega Live 360 shows it's there. Mega Live Imaging shows it's there, and the other Mega transducer. So this transducer is working, and that's how you can tell. Anyways, hopefully this install was helpful for somebody, and also it shows from the factory you could be racking your brains and you get a defective unit, and you think you did something wrong with the install, and that's not the case. So this is how it should look once you've connected it up and installed it. And I'll show you some shots on the water once I get this thing on the water to test it out. This is the end result of the second unit installed. That's how the wiring is done, and that's how the Mega Live looks with the Mega 360.